All right, everybody. Here's the second video of three. I just wanted to kind of go through circles real quickly. Number one, we have a circle with the center at 0, 0, or the origin. It takes the form of x squared plus y squared equals r squared, where r is the radius. So that's the first one. And then if we move that around, and the center is h and k, we translate that equation by saying x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So it gets pretty simple, and then it gets a lot more complex, as you'll see in one of the other examples. So x squared plus y squared equals 25. Well, that one's of this format here. So the center is real easy. That's 0, 0. And the radius is the square root of 25, which is going to be 5. Because remember, this is r squared. So all we got to do is put a point for the center. Then we go out 5 to the right, 5 to the top, 5 to the left, 5 to the bottom, and we draw in our circle. Okay. Now this one is a little bit more complex because it's got a center that's not 0, 0. So x minus 2 means 2 is the x coordinate of the center. Y plus 1 means the opposite. Negative 1 is the y coordinate of the center. Then we take the radius, the square root of 36, which is 6. So then I go 2, negative 1, there's my center, and I got to go 6 this way, and 6 this way, and 6 this way, and 6, that's 4, 5, and 6 that way. And there is my circle. So when you have the equation, it's pretty easy to come up with the center and the radius, but on the back, we have to go from information about the circle to the actual equation. So this one here has a center of 2, negative 5, so that's our h and our k, and the radius is 3. So our formula is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So x minus 2 squared plus y minus negative 5 squared equals 3 squared. Now we don't like having that double negative there, so we're going to just do x minus 2 squared plus y plus 5 squared equals 9. And that's going to be our equation for the center circle with the center of 2, negative 5, and the radius of 3. Now this one here is a little challenging. This one takes a little bit more work. So we say the equation of the circle is the points 1, 8, and Q, 5, negative 6 is endpoints of the diameter. So we need to find the center, and we need to know what the radius is. Well, the center is going to be the midpoint between these 2 points, because if that's the diameter, I kind of drew this out. Hold on, where'd that go? Here we go. I kind of made a grid to help me out. And so I drew out my endpoints. Here's 1, 8. Here's 5, negative 6. And so I could draw my circle like this. It's going to kind of go off the page or whatnot. I don't know how big it's going to go out there. Not very good at drawing circles. All right, but we need to find this point. This point, if that's the diameter, this is the midpoint. Now, I already figured it out, but let's figure out the midpoint if we know the 2 points. So the 2 points are 1, 8 and 5, negative 6. Let's see if I can get this clear. So the midpoint is going to be 1 plus 5 divided by 2, 8 plus negative 6 divided by 2. It's going to give me 6 over 2 and 2 over 2, which is 3 and 1. So this is the center of our circle. That's H and that's K. We also know the radius is the distance from the midpoint to the end of that diameter. So if this is 3, 1 and this is 1, 8, let's find that distance, which will be the radius. So I'm going to say 3 minus 1 squared plus 1 minus 8 squared. That's going to give me 2 squared plus negative 7 squared. 4 plus 49. The square root of 53 is our radius. So, sorry about that, off the page. All right, so when I know what the center and the radius is, center is 3, 1, radius, square root of 53. Now I can plug it back in. This is h and this is k. So x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Let's do x minus 3 squared, y minus 1 squared. And then what happens if I square a square root? It disappears. So that is the equation of that circle. And then the last one uses a little bit of completing the square. Okay, so with completing the square, what we want to do is we're going to take this equation, this x squared plus y squared plus 2x minus 6y plus 7 equals 0. And when we complete the square, we're going to get it into this form right here. So let's group our x's together. I'm going to put a plus blank. And we'll group our y's together. And we'll put a plus blank. I'm going to move that net 7 onto the other side, making it a negative 7. And then a plus blank and a plus blank. Now, we talked about completing the square briefly last week. So we take 2. Half of 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So we put a 1 there and a 1 there. Then we take half of negative 6, which is negative 3. Square negative 3, which is 9. So we put a 9 there and a 9 there. The reason we do that is this now becomes x plus 1 quantity squared. This now becomes y minus 3 quantity squared. And then on the right here, we end up with 3. And so, if I look at that, the center of our circle is going to be negative 1 and 3, because it's the opposite and opposite. And the radius is going to be the square root of 3, because that's r squared. And so that helps us with the equation and the center and the radius of the circle.